All right, so this is a setback in the efforts from Elon Musk and Doge to downsize the federal government because a federal judge today ordered thousands of fired workers to be rehired. The judge calling the Trump administration's move to cut many of these probationary workers just a sham. And the order calls for many workers from Veterans Affairs, Pentagon, Interior to get their jobs back. So let's bring Misty Marris in on this, our legal eagle, trial attorney. And good to see you, Misty. In person for, I say,
Yes.
Misty used to be on every day. There's a trial, but now it's it's the Trump show just about every day. So it's great to have you back in studio here. And this is part of the Trump show, right? So
right.
They were making this move to fire these workers. Some of these cases they've won. Other times there's been pushback. What do you make of this? It says this was a sham, says the judge.
Yeah, so a lot of this is seeking to pause some of these efforts by Doge. And the argument is that there's a question mark about where the federal executive authority ends and the legislative authority begins. So it's really a separation of powers issue.
Right.
And also keeping in mind, when you're talking about federal service workers, so there's a difference, right? We have to separate these groups. You have political appointees, and Trump and the executive branch is going to have a lot of latitude as to who are in those positions. But then the government who have been hired for those service level jobs
have a lot of
There's
protections.
Correct.
Because that's the thing. Everybody keeps making this private sector argument. Oh, in my company, they came in and said, oh, the bottom X% is out. And it's different with the government workers, right?
Absolutely. Federal workers have a whole host of different protections. There's civil servants, there's civil service law. There's all sorts of areas of law that are implicated when you're talking about a federal government worker versus the private sector, where somebody can be terminated for any reason or no reason at all. So there's very much different considerations.
What about the Department of Education? Now there's a number of states, I believe New York is one of them, Massachusetts, California, on and on, who are suing the administration to try to block them from basically what they're doing here, which is trying to gut the Department of Education. How do you see this one?
Yeah, so this is the motion that was filed. So this is seeking what's called a stay, meaning to pause, because the Department of Education, they're trying to get rid of 50% of the workforce here.
Right.
So here's the argument, Connell, and this is where we're talking about the separation of powers issue. They say, these states, the 20 states that are bringing this action to pause those efforts, say that it is the legislative branch who created the Department of Education. And by actually terminating half that workforce, you've gutted it. It's gutted. It won't exist anymore. And you have to go to Congress in order to take that action. So it's another question about executive authority versus what falls under those other branches of government.
There was one other, this has been going on throughout the week, and we haven't talked about it too much yet, but I do find it really interesting. Trump's been going after law firms, or one in particular, that, he doesn't like. That's what he does. He goes after, people he doesn't like a lot. But from a legal standpoint, this is fascinating to me because then you kind of, it seems like you get in some muddy areas. Let me put up a statement from the judge who granted a temporary restraining order on the firm being targeted by Trump. And the quote was, "Such a circumstance threatens the very foundation of our legal system. Our justice system is based on the fundamental belief that justice works best when all parties have zealous advocates." So, if he goes after some people that, he had a run-in with the past or whatever it may be, or disagree with him politically, then somebody needs a lawyer, might be reluctant. What do you make of this?
And Connell, this is the issue, because oftentimes as a lawyer, I'm a defense attorney myself.
Right.
Your client might not be the most popular person, right? Or you could be representing somebody who is largely popular in the public sphere. Either way, that doesn't matter. From a legal perspective, you're to put up the best defense, best prosecution, whatever it is, and give your client the services that you are required to do ethically as an attorney. So whoever your client is, to punish the lawyer or the law firm for actually just representing a client, it sets a terrible precedent. And just so we're clear, what these actions have been are seeking basically to pause some of what's been going on. It's called a stay. And the standard is irreparable harm and likelihood of success on the merits. So the first prong is to show that if Trump's plan in any of these aspects were to go forward, there would be irreparable harm to the agency, to the law firm, to whatever the other party is. So that's the standard that's being utilized by these judges to say, whoa, we've got to wait a minute to see if there's any merit to these cases. So that issue can still be litigated, whether or not this can happen.
The wait a minute, that might be the phrase here on a lot of it, because it's trying to do so much so fast. They talk about flooding the zone, and legally sometimes as a judge has to step in and literally say, wait a minute.
Right.
Well, good to see you, Misty.
Thanks,
as always. The great Misty Marris. Okay, so